Hot and sour soup has a long history. Many regional cuisine claim it to be their regional dish and have developed hundreds of thousand styles of making it. As a native Shanghainese, I grew up with hot and sour soup and I wholeheartedly love it. This is a soup from which you get all kinds of flavor and ingredients. It's savory, sour, and peppery hot at the same time. Loaded with so many goodies, veggies, proteins, you name it. In this video, I'll show you how to make an amazing and comforting hot and sour soup, Shanghai style. Let's dive in. This recipe makes for 2 or 3 servings. We're gonna utilize a lot of ingredients, but it's not that hard, because basically they are all going into the broth. First, let's prep some dried ingredients. Here we have dried shiitake mushrooms, dried wood ear mushrooms, and dried day lilies, soaked in cold waters in advance for about an hour. You'll smell the unique earthy aroma from shiitake mushrooms. I'm actually gonna take advantage of that by using the shiitake water in a second. I have a piece of pork hind leg. You can also use pork shoulder or other kinds of protein, or make it meat-free. I'm cutting it into thin strips. Then marinate it by adding a pinch of salt, starch, Shaoxing cooking wine, and just a little bit egg white. This is to velvet the meat by creating a protective coating that will brown meat more evenly. Drizzle oil to seal in meat juices and flavor. Mix well, then let it sit for 20 minutes. As it being marinated, slice everything into thin pieces. A couple rough chops for day lilies is enough. Pretty nervous to get into what I consider the hardest part of this recipe. That is to julienne silken tofu. Boy, it's so delicate, so easy to fall apart. I'm cutting it into thin slices, as thin as I can. I'm not a pro chef, I'm not able to cut it like this, but I'm trying my best. Now I could just say, feel free to use firm tofu as an alternative, but I can't. I just can't. I feel like I lose respect of all my ancestors because it's a tradition using silken tofu in Shanghai style hot and sour soup. You certainly are free to put whatever you want in your soup, but here are just some of my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment. Firm tofu has a rough and slight rubbery texture. It's solid and has more chew, commonly used in baked, stir-fried, and deep-fried dishes because it holds up well to frying. But in my humble opinion, it doesn't go so well with soup. Versus silken tofu has a pudding-like quality, light in texture with a smooth and creamy mouthfeel. It's just so tender. Because we already have many crunchy and chewy ingredients like wood ear mushrooms in this soup, there's no need to go further toward that direction. You see, everything comes down to balance, yin and yang. I'ma blanch wood ear mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms, day lilies, and bamboo shoots. When water bubbles, strain. No need to clean the pot. Repeat the same steps with julienne tofu, but be extra gentle. I'ma do a quick stir fry. Stop cooking as soon as the meat turns white. Also strain the excess oil. We don't want that extra fat. Great! I've done all the prep. Now I just need to assemble the soup. I'ma bring chicken broth to a boil. Season the soup with salt, light soy sauce, and oyster sauce. Toss in all the shredded ingredients except tofu. Thicken the soup with a slurry of 2½ tablespoons shiitake water mixed with 2½ tablespoons starch. Let it simmer and thicken to your liking. A side note, I've seen quite a few Chinese restaurants in the States serving hot and sour soup with very, very thick consistency. But that's not what we are looking for here. Shanghai style hot and sour soup is neither too thick nor too runny, so kinda in a middle ground. Lastly, add in tofu and 2 beaten eggs. The reasons that I add tofu at the very last is because I don't want to heat it for too long. Otherwise, pores would appear so that it lost its smooth texture. Gently rotate the ladle to avoid from breaking the tofu. As the soup simmering over low heat, add Chinkiang black vinegar in a bowl. Chinkiang vinegar really raises the game because it's made through traditional fermentation, acidic oxidation, and prolonged aging. Not the sort of industrialized product that's more common in the West, as in distilled vinegar, which is simply meant to add acid to a dish, but with no real flavor. Also add white pepper. You see, one of the best things about cooking at home is I can control heat and sourness levels myself, so add as much as you like. Now, I'ma pour over the broth. The reason I'm doing so is because vinegar is able to evaporate faster than water. So if I add vinegar directly to the boiling soup, the pureness of the vinegar will disappear as it evaporates. Besides, the white pepper will release a bitter taste if heated for too long. Finish with some toasted sesame oil and chopped scallions. As you can see, this soup is very filling. So when you don't feel like a formal dinner, maybe serve this tasty hot and sour soup instead. I just love the umami and sour taste with a strong zing of white pepper. Do you know what tastes the best with hot and sour soup? At least here in Shanghai, it's pot stickers or Shanghai pan-fried pork buns. Check out my video about how to make authentic Shanghai-style pot stickers in the card above if you're interested. If you like this recipe, be sure to smash that like button. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.